All right, continuing coverage of 4G World. My name is Jeffrey Powers for ViodiTV and Geekazine.com. We have Eliot Weinman of the Yankee Group, the company that actually puts this whole thing together. Eliot, how are you doing?
Good, Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Bye.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this all came to be, how you guys got involved in this event?
Sure. Well, I've been producing events in wireless broadband for a number of years. And last year we ran our annual 4G World Conference and Expo here in Chicago. It followed up another event which we called WiMAX World. And basically the world of telecommunications is changing very rapidly. We all know through the usage of iPhones and iPads and new cool devices and smartphones that people are able to do a lot more on the go with smaller devices and all different forms of mobile internet devices. And so what's happening really in the United States is taking a leadership role around the world through what we call 4G networks, which are the traditional networks the last 15 years that mobile operators have been running their voice mobile cell phones on, a 3G. So 4G is basically the speeds are hundreds of times faster on downloads, 100 times faster than you might get at your DSL cable at home. You can have multiple applications and video on your mobile device. As people know, they have games. You know, this show is really about what's happening in the industry globally and in the next year in terms of next generation devices and next generation, ultimately, the kind of impact that fourth generation networks will have on the everyday consumer.
Now, really quick, there's two standards to 4G, and that's where some of the confusion comes in. You have the WiMAX and you have LTE. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, there are two competing, they call them the mobile broadband standards that operators around the world. You basically have a mobile network, and you need software and hardware to deploy faster 4G networks. And there are two technologies that are used. You know, one's WiMAX and another one is LTE. WiMAX comes from the WiMAX Forum. Currently, there's around the world about 550 networks deployed. They had a couple of year lead. The other one is run by GSMA, basically another competing association. They have most of the mobile network operators in their association, hundreds, 1,000, and LTE is the standard that they use to actually build the networks. You know, just a different hardware engineering standard, and they compete. But for the most part, LTE on mobile networks seems to have taken a lead. And in the past couple of years, as of right now, there's about 120. Mobile operators around the world in about 100 countries that are deploying LTE networks. So it's a little bit behind WiMAX, but ultimately probably LTE will be the dominant mobile broadband technology used by mobile operators around the world.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Now the one interesting thing is we took a walk and we talked to a lot of these people here at the expo this fine day. We learned a lot about how to set up a type of 4G system, how to test a 4G system, and how to deploy that same 4G system, which it shows how much work is involved and how much streaming is going to be coming to this system, which brings me to the question: where do you see this expo in 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We're trying to figure out how we grow the show or how we focus the show, and the show has grown 30% from last year. We're up to about 10,000 people and about 150 exhibitors and 250 sponsors and 220 speakers. So it's a pretty big show right now. We can't really add more days and stuff like that. We can add more exhibitors, and we have to change the content as the content basically moves out more to the consumer, which might be devices, mobile broadband devices on anything like cameras or video equipment or lapels or cufflinks. All of those devices over time ultimately there'll be a big market for people that will be connected, and that's called M2M. So that's one big area of expansion. Another big area of expansion is just applications that will run on faster ways and more sophisticated networks, and that aren't minimized by their capability by speed, which they are now. So in a couple of years, when you have a smartphone or some form of mobile internet device, it may be a specialty for a shipping company, it may be a specialty mobile internet device for healthcare. And those kind of things will be available, and it'll just explode the kind of applications that'll be available on very high-speed networks. So this show, the natural course of the event, will probably be more on supporting video over time and supporting more sophisticated applications and supporting for enterprises, for governments, for vertical industries, and for consumers.
Okay. So it's this weekend, but if you haven't gotten your tickets, then do you guys have plans for next year already?
Yeah, so it's October 19th now. We still have 2 days for the expo this week, so wherever you are, fly in. And
they'll get you tickets.
Jeff will get you some tickets. And you can, next year we actually announced 4G World China. April 27th to the 29th in Chengdu, which is a huge city of 14 million people. They expect 10,000 people at that show. And then next year here in Chicago, October 27th to the 29th, I believe. And it's 4gworld.com. So, check out the site.
Perfect. Eliot, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. For 4G World, this is Jeffrey Powers.